Hey Bodgers. So, back to the 7 deadly sins. Gluttony, we've done. And sloth. Today's greed. You might have seen my other blog. I was talking about more global events and things. But what I've noticed is that when these things happen, there's always somebody there to make money, isn't there? You know, like the things that are happening over in Ukraine. A lot of money being pumped in there by some very big companies. BlackRock is one of them, BlackRock. And they were very keen to say, look, we'll help you rebuild after the war. We're still amongst the war. Ain't finished, ain't gone anywhere. How do they know when it's going to end, if it'll end? They don't know if that land will end up being Russian. Will they still want to rebuild it then? It's almost like they know what the outcome's going to be. And then you look at this BlackRock and they own nearly everything that we do in life. Every company that we deal with, they have something to do with it. And somebody's making a lot of money somewhere. You know, like these big defence firms that are making all these weapons and stuff to send over. You're getting them for free, are they? You know, they're getting charged somewhere. Alright, might not be the Ukrainian government paying for it, but, you know, I should say that it's definitely something to do with other governments and politicians who might also have shares in that company. Can you imagine? Greed. It's all to do with greed. How much money they can get, how much land they can get. That Bill Gates fella, right? Computer nerd once upon a time. And somehow he's managed to be an authority on things. The government's taking notice of what this fella has to say. And he owns vast swathes of land in America and all over the world. What's he want with it? Stick to your computers and that. You know, the greed. There's no shame in showing this wealth either. You know, they'll get all these fancy cars, Lamborghinis and Ferraris and whatever. As if it's like some sort of a status symbol. Look how greedy I can be. You don't need it. Well, don't get me wrong, it must be nice to be rich. You know, not have to think about where your next pay packet's coming from, or, you know, knowing that you can put food on the table and, you know, buy the finer things in life. But don't get them very far, does it? In the end it catches up with them. Bill Gates, for example, his missus got divorced. The money wasn't helping them much, was it? Took him for half of everything he had. Same with that Bezos fella, that baldy-headed fella. No, I'm not saying they didn't have problems in their marriage and whatever else, I'm sure they did. But you can sure as hell bet he had some fancy lawyers that would be trying to preserve his fortune, his wealth. Bit different to gluttony, innit? Greed. Gluttony is about food and overindulgence, which, yeah, that's what they're doing. But it's the wanting more money, more power. A lot of politicians are like that. At the moment, the Scottish National Party, they're having a conference. Now, I ain't Scottish, and who they decide to have in charge is up to them. Right? Whatever. like I said, it's in particularly political, right? It's just that you tend to find that these people in power are the ones who are the greediest out of all of us. Now, I'm not saying I ain't greedy. I'm not. But I know when I ain't got the money in my pocket. If I ain't got the money in my pocket, I don't get it. But up there, in that there Scotland, their former leader, Nicola Sturgeon they call her. Look her up if you're not from Britain. She's in a spot of bother. She's been investigated. Her and her husband, who was also something to do with party, the treasurer or something. And they've been dipping their fingers at till, allegedly. She allegedly bought a big old camper van for her mother-in-law. And donations that people who, you know, who want Scotland to be free of the UK, to go its own way, were donating to the party. It seems like old Nicola and her husband, well, I'm not saying they did or they didn't, but the police are investigating where all this money's gone. Got a little greedy. Thought they could get away with it. Allegedly. So they got a little greedy and they ended up getting their fingers burned. Allegedly. I'm going to keep saying that, Bodgers. I'm going to keep saying that. It didn't do their lives any good. You can see why it's one of the sins, can't you? Don't be greedy. Don't fetch your happiness or out like that. Be humble. And just live your life good, you know. Don't be greedy. Don't be always wanting more all the time. We can always want to better ourselves. That's a different thing. Want a better life for our families, our wives and children, than what we had. Oh, I do. Well, one day, you know, they'll look back and want the same for their kids, if they have any. Or certainly have everything they want in life, you know. But hopefully I try and teach them not to be greedy about it. Not always easy. You know. Tractor. You know, we all want the better things, don't we? Better car, better house. And you can still work hard for it. It's just a matter of, you know, don't be greedy and wanting way too much than what you really need. I'm not talking about sharing wealth or anything like that, but can soon land you in a bit of bother, can't it? Being greedy. I don't know, Bodgers. What do you think? Has greed got the better of you? At times it maybe has me. You know, none of us are beyond reproach when it comes to such things. We can all point at things where we've been a bit greedy at times, and do we really need all this stuff? But a lot of money changes hands during the wartime, doesn't it? A lot of people are getting backhanders nowadays. Money put into their wallets. You know, US presidents that take bribes and take payments from foreign countries and things. You know, they've already got the power, so it ain't about power at that point, is it? It ain't about wanting to be powerful or wanting to be in charge. You're the leader of the free world. You're taking backhanders from Russia and Ukraine and things. Your son might have a job that he isn't really qualified for and making 80 odd grand a week. You know, a bit of greed there, isn't there? A bit of corruption. I think that's where it starts to get a little bit seedy, innit? Allegedly. Greed, I don't know. Corrupt politicians, corrupt people on the TV, people giving out messages that you need this, the adverts, you need this. Advertising. Look at our luxury car, yeah, it's still got 4 wheels and an engine. Still gets me A to B, it's not fancy. In fact, the car I've got now is probably the fanciest I've ever had in my lifetime. It's only a Citroen. You need this. Oh, you get these here big cars like Maybachs and Rolls Royces and all that. But all these politicians and Arabs and whatever else, these sheikhs and princes, you all have to have the latest thing. Who can have the biggest super yacht? And go on it maybe once a year, if that. But it costs them millions to run the bloody thing. And then if you're on the wrong side of a war, you end up getting it taken off you anyway. Greed didn't get them that bloody far, didn't it, there? The greed always comes into it. That little devil on your shoulder. Go on. You can make some money here. You can have this thing. Why don't you get it? I try not to be greedy. I can't really remember the last time I was greedy. I'm a man of simple means, me. As Mrs. B will testify to. Well, she's happy and the kids are happy, and you know, we do what we got to do for the family. Greed doesn't really come into it then. Happiness, innit? Happiness is what's more important. I spend most of my time in my work gear. You know, you don't see any little check mark or Adidas or whatever written on my shirts, or Tommy Hilfiger or whoever. Ultimately, it's just a shirt. Covers up my body, because you don't want to see that Bodgers, believe me. Yeah, I should maybe make a bit more of an effort to look something like more presentable, but you know, I need an haircut for a start. But again, I won't go to a barber and spend 15 quid, which I maybe should, support local business if you can, Bodgers. I'll get the missus to do it with clippers at home. Quicker, cheaper, done that night. You know, I don't have to be greedy and get the latest haircut. Number 1 all over, that's me. Regulation haircut. And then thin this out a bit, that's it. I don't have to look like some fancy Hollywood star or anything like that. No, I don't buy into that sort of thing, really. A pair of trainers is a pair of trainers, innit? You know, I spend most of my time in work boots because they're the most comfortable work boots I've got. You know, most comfortable footwear. Spend more time in them than out else. So, you know, I don't get greedy. I don't need the latest phone. My phone, this thing, look, watching you, watching me again. You know, that iPhone SE 2. You know, that came out, I don't know, 2020. Coming up 4 years ago. I don't need another phone, it works fine. Why do I need another phone? Just have the latest thing to be, you know, On trend. Again, someone there's making some money. We'll advertise this latest super duper phone. See, flip phones are making a comeback. Flip phones! Alright, it's got one screen on it rather than the buttons at the bottom and the screen on the top like the old Razors, you remember them? But it's making a comeback. People are buying them. Because the adverts are telling you, you need this. You need this car, you need this phone. You need this in your life. People get greedy. Oh yeah, I want one of them, I'll get that. And then you end up broke with no money. No, because some bloody CEO's going on his private jet with it. Thank you very much. Pays for his drink on the way over to wherever. Guarantee you won't be going on holiday to Spurn Point like I do. You know what I mean? All about the greed. And ultimately, Bodgers, all said and done, and you've lived your life, at the end of it, which would you rather have? Would you rather be buried in a coffin with gold handles? Everybody thinks you as a complete arse through your life? Or buried in a cardboard box where the people are sorry that you've gone? I know which I'd rather have, Bodgers, you know what I mean? I'd rather be remembered for, you know, helping folks out where I can, or just bringing a bit of light to somebody, or, you know, listening to somebody when they're going through a bit of an hard time. We've all been there. If I can help you and advise you, I will do. And I'll be generous with my time. I won't be greedy. I won't tell you that I've got other things on, I've got to go. You want to talk to me, you've got as much time as you need. And I'll listen, if that's all you want. If you want somebody to advise you, I'll do what I can. I think generosity wins out in the end, doesn't it? Now, a lot of them set up these charitable organisations, these rich, greedy folks. You know why? Because then they don't have to pay as much in tax. Greed. Save a bob or two. Hey? If I can save, I don't know, 100,000 in the year, that's nice. That's a nice holiday, and I can buy the latest speedboat or something, I don't know. The latest jet ski for my private yacht. It's just greed. Rather than giving it to the tax man. Now, there again, you know, giving it to government. They try and take as much from you as they can. And then spend it on stuff that you don't really need in your life. HS2, for instance. Those are in foreign climes. HS2, high-speed trains that will go up and down Britain, linking London, Birmingham, Manchester and Leeds, and they'd go for, I don't know, a couple of 100 miles an hour or whatever speed it is. And somebody came up with this design and they got paid very well for this little train and the network that it's going to run on. And then reality hits. We ain't really got enough money for that. So they take a little bit off and they say, right, well, we won't go to Leeds anymore, we'll just go to Manchester. Them in the north, in Hull and Scotland and Leeds, and, you know, we ain't really happy with that. You know, why are we being left out? Because them in London, they're a bit greedy. rather spend the money down there with these politicians, because ultimately it benefits them. You know, they'll own a company that builds tunnels. Well, some of these politicians will have shares in the company. Well, guess who gets the contract? So anyway, building this HS2. Now it only goes to Manchester. Well, we ain't really got the money for that, so stuff them in Manchester. We'll just go between London and Birmingham. Alright, we'll just go between them two. Something tells me that that's going to get knocked on the head as well eventually. The thing is, we've paid a lot in tax for this. We're talking like hundreds of billions of pounds to get this off the ground and actually get this thing going. Where's that money gone? Think like you're getting a rebate, is it? Oh yeah, sorry, we're out off to Leeds. Here, have 20 billion back. And we all get a little payout from this 20 billion. You don't get that. Oh well, we aren't off to Manchester anymore. Here's another 20 billion. We'll only do the London to Birmingham bit, so it'll work out cheaper. Here's the money back. No. The government keep hold of that money. Where is it? You know, spend it on other stuff. Helping folk out. There's homeless veterans on the streets in most countries. Here in Britain and in America and wherever else you are in the world. People who put their lives on the line to defend this country saw things that are unimaginable to your average person. And they leave the military and they're just thrown into bloody street and left. It's wrong. People who fought in wars from years back that are abandoned. Old people who can't pay their bloody gas bill, their electric bill, because the greedy power companies don't want to drop their prices, because they know they've got the monopoly on you. They don't want you having a coal-fired or a wood-powered burner in your house. No, don't you be heating your home like that. You're getting gas. And we can make money out of you. And then when it comes to the end of the year, all these CEOs and directors, they get that profit. Dividends. Goes into their bank account. And then they take it off to the Seychelles or somewhere. And they're laughing at you. Greed gets the better of them. And they could be doing some good, helping somebody out. Take some of these veterans off the streets. Now we've got a problem with illegal immigration into Britain and people coming across. And again, I'm trying not to sound political, you know. People are getting away from some really bad situations. There are genuine people trying to find safety. That's a whole other debate. But as soon as they get here, they're put in a nice hotel somewhere. Because the hotels can make more money. These big hotel chains where they can say, right, well, we're going to scrap these bookings that we've already got for holiday makers or people going to concerts in the local area, and we're going to put these people into the hotels because we can get more money from the government. That's our money. You know, if it helps genuine people out, and you know, we've got to help people out where we can, but these veterans are still on the streets, traumatised. Like I say, they've seen things that we never want to see. They're just left homeless. It's wrong. Because the greedy governments, the greedy corporations, these greedy organisations want it that way. Because there's profit. Like the Ferengi on Star Trek, it's all about the profit. It should be about kindness, generosity, giving people time, not being greedy with it. Greed and corruption kind of go hand in hand, don't they, really, I suppose, but it's funny, corruption, there isn't an eighth deadly sin, is there, of corruption? I wonder why that is. It's almost like the people who came up with the 7 deadly sins in the first place were in it for the money. Who knows? Show some love. Be generous with your time and with your money. Take care of each other, Bodgers. And I'll see you next time.